just in. The T-Wolves absolutely shattering the Nuggets on Thursday. Anthony Edwards hits the three there, putting them up 91-63. He had 27 points in this game, and they win 115-70. It's the second largest playoff win in NBA history when facing elimination. And I got to tell you, I am so ecstatic that we are getting a Game 7 back in Denver, the defending champs against the young and upcoming Minnesota Timberwolves. Time now to welcome in CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Reiter and CBS Sports NBA analyst and former NBA Coach of the Year, Avery Johnson. And y'all, you remember it was 9-2 Denver in that first quarter. Timeout happens, and whatever came out after that, the T-Wolves need to do that every single time. So what did you see, Avery, I'll start with you, that made the Minnesota Timberwolves so electric on all aspects of the game, whether it was rebounding, shooting, the rotations? They looked like champions on this night.
This is a reincarnation of when I was coaching the Mavericks back in 2005. We were down 0-2 to the Houston Rockets. I had just taken over as coach for Coach Don Nelson, and we went to Houston, tied it up 2-2, came back home 3-2, and we went back to Houston, and Houston got the best of us, and we came back and won it in Game 7, which I'll get into in a minute. So this was a picture-perfect situation for Minnesota, backs against the wall. They haven't won a home game in this series, and they heard all of the noise. They talked about sweeping Denver at one point, and they talked about having a gentleman's sweep with Denver coming back to win 4 in a row. So give Minnesota credit, dominated the boards, all of the hustle points. Naz Reid with a double-double off the bench. They got Mike Conley back in the lineup. Jamal Murray obviously struggled. Jokic wasn't his normal self. So this was a team that was the most desperate, hungry team in Game 6. And it's just hard when you're down 0-2 in the series to win 4 in a row. So give the Nuggets credit. They battled to get back in this series, and we'll see what happens in Game 7.
Chris, guys, what we saw is a great basketball team in the Timberwolves, as Coach just said, who didn't want to go home, didn't want their season to end. I think one of the mistakes some people make when they're watching the NBA playoffs is they assume one game is a series or 2 games tell the tale of an entire series. And Coach knows, Chris, you know, that's not the reality. This is a great Timberwolves team. We know Denver's great. They're the defending champions. But it's easy to forget sometimes Minnesota swept Phoenix, dominated that team, and then took those first 2 games against Denver. And that just proved whatever happened in the 3 games that followed against the defending champs, and probably still for the moment, at least King of the Hill, best team in the NBA, that this is a Minnesota team that's on that level. There's some parity here. And so as Coach just said, what we saw was a really good basketball team. Even if they lost 3 in a row for the first time this year against Denver, who said, to hell with this. We're not going out like this. We're going to win on our home court. We've got to start Anthony Edwards. Rudy Gobert heard all the, I think, unfair chatter about how he's not really a defensive player of the year. And they came out, and a great basketball team played like it. Because as Coach said, their back was against the wall. And when it's do or die time, great teams play great. Now, this was extraordinary, but it's just a reminder. And as we're going to Game 7 for a reason, this Timberwolves team is really good. They're good enough to beat Denver. Maybe they will, maybe they won't in Game 7. But that's what we saw, a great basketball team that did not want to go home and end their season.
And what I really love about Anthony Edwards, like after they lost in Game 6, he told the Denver Nuggets attendant, I'll see you back here for Game 7. A lot of people thought, hey, what are you doing? But he stood on business even when their backs were against the wall. So I love that confidence from him. And now we get a Game 7. Avery, I know your juices are flowing with this one. Who do you think is going to have the advantage? We know the Nuggets are the defending champs, so you might lean that way. But based on what you saw in Game 6, could we possibly see Minnesota coming out with the W and ending the Nuggets' run here?
I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's unlikely. The Nuggets, they'll go back and make their necessary adjustments. The reason why you play for home court is for situations like this. Get down 0-2, and then you go up 3-2, and then you lose game 6. Maybe you go up 3-1 in the series, and your opponent comes back and win the next 2, and it's still 3-3. But the idea is you want to be able to have that game 7 on your home court with the elevation and altitude of Mile High. And I think Jokic is going to have a triple-double. Guys will make shots. Jamal Murray will play better. Sometimes guys just play better at home, even though Denver was forced to play better in Minnesota because they were in a desperate situation. Had they lost game 3 in Minnesota, maybe if Rudy Gobert wouldn't have come back for game 3, Minnesota would have went on and basically won this series. But they got Gobert back. He didn't play as well against Jokic in the last game or 2. But expect Jokic to be, play like an MVP. He'll go to another level where nobody else can go on the Denver roster. The supporting team, they'll make more threes. They won't get out-rebounded as much. They'll be at home. So look for this game to be a close game until the last 3 minutes of the game, and then Denver will pull away.
Carissa, I don't have the slightest idea, and I'm not usually shy about giving an opinion, even if it turns out to be dead wrong. It's been a perplexing series. I mean, you've got teams can't win at home for 4 games, and they flip the script, and that changes, and it feels like, okay, it's going to end in Minnesota. The champs will put them out of their misery, and obviously we saw the exact opposite. All that I know from all the years covering the NBA, including some of Avery's teams, is momentum is a really powerful and interesting thing. And yes, I'm with Coach. All the signs point to the Denver Nuggets being the better team. Players shoot better at home, especially non-stars. They need Jamal Murray, who is a star, to obviously have a better offensive performance than they had in this game. And Anthony Edwards, look, he's adjusted to the double teams. He also had teammates who made shots today and played really, really well. But I keep going back to that, and I hope I have the year right. 2016 NBA Finals, when that 73-win Warriors team got up on LeBron and company 3-1, and everybody said that thing was over, and I thought it was over. And even when we got to a Game 7, and it went back to Golden State, the conventional wisdom, the correct wisdom, the right idea on paper was, what a great run, but Draymond missed a game. I know LeBron's amazing, but this Warriors team is just too good. And what happened? Momentum is powerful. One game is one game. One shot, as that happened in that series, can change things. So I don't know. And all I believe, all I can really tell you, and I said this a few days ago, and I still think it's true, I think whoever wins Game 7 is the likely team that's going to the NBA Finals. And I think it could be the Timberwolves, and it obviously could be Denver. It's been an amazing series, unpredictable, hard fought, and that's all that I'm sure about that we're going to see on Sunday in this Game 7.
All right, so quickly, y'all, Avery, did the Nuggets win?
Nuggets win 115 to 108.
Bill, what about you? What's your score?
No idea. Like I just said, I'm not giving you a prediction. Look, you want me to make one up? I mean, I don't know. I mean, normally I would give you one and feel like, whatever, you get them wrong. But I'm not sure. I think the Timberwolves can win. I think it's really good. I think, like Coach said, it's going to be an extraordinarily close game. I think who's the best player on the floor is going to be significant. If you're Minnesota, and it didn't matter tonight, but I think Cat was 4 of 10. If he can be great, which he has not been in this series offensively, that's a huge boost. Obviously, Denver needs Jamal Murray to be great. Chris, I don't know. I think it go either way, and I think it's close to a coin flip.
Well, what we do know is the Brights will be extremely bright in Denver. Bill Reiter, Avery Johnson, thanks so much, guys. So here's a little preview of what we can expect for Sunday. The Nuggets are 3-1 in their last 4 Game 7s. And for Minnesota, they've won only 1 Game 7 in franchise history. That was against the Kings in the 2004 conference semifinals, as Minnesota seeking their first conference final appearance since 2004. And coming up, we're going to go back out to Minnesota, as we're going to hear from guys like Anthony Edwards, Chris Finch, Mike Malone, and so many more right here on CBS Sports HQ.